It's an age-old debate. How long are parents financially responsible for their kids?
Forever.
You think?
Well,
For your kids, or you still want to be receiving that? Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought so. These days, it may take a little bit longer because of that struggling economy.
yeah, absolutely. Check out what our Vicky Wynn found out when she talked to some experts as well as someone who's living at home. Check it out.
With the pandemic and record inflation, adulting has taken on a whole new meaning for today's 20-somethings, putting parents on the front line. In these tough economic times, some are looking for ways to financially protect their adult children for longer, with everything from family cell phone plans to keeping young adults on health insurance plans until they're 26, to living at home for longer.
They still feel very responsible for the lives of their children and the livelihoods of their children.
According to a recent survey, nearly a third of young adults moved back home during the pandemic. 2/3 still remain with their parents, and more than half say they moved back out of necessity. The cost of living still daunting. Apartment rent prices rising 15% from last year, making the average cost above $2,000 a month. For 25-year-old Zoe Zarenda, between inflation and student loan debt, the only answer was to move back into her childhood bedroom in Connecticut.
Part of me felt like I wasn't on the right track, or I wasn't where I was thinking I'd be when I was younger.
She says she's grateful for her parents who realize it's a different world now from when they were in their 20s.
They're very understanding and knowing that I'm saving and I'm not just sitting here doing nothing. You know, I have a plan. I'm trying to move back out. It's just a matter of time and what I exactly want to move into.
The number one best reason to stay at home is to save and so that you can set yourself up for success. The downside of this is that you could become very, very used to staying at home and never leaving.
So what can parents do to help their young adults achieve financial independence? Set up a transition strategy for gradually withdrawing financial support. Be their accountability partner and introduce ways for your kids to budget their spending. If they're living at home, find ways for them to contribute around the house, from fronting grocery or utility bills to handling housework to cut your expenses. And consider having them pay some rent.
Everyone should have an open discussion about what the parameters are, what the rules of engagement are. And I think that communication is probably the most important.
Yeah, Vicky, thank you. That is an interesting report right there.
It really is. And, you know, our kiddos, not quite adults yet, but my older two kiddos are working because we're just trying to just set them up for, like, okay, here's kind of what the real world looks like, you know. And there's some things, like if we go out sometimes and they're like, oh, I want ... and I'm like, you got to pay for it yourself.
Yes, we do that as well.
You got some money, you got to pay for it yourself.
Yes.
So I think that parents, we know our children, right? And so I feel like if, you know, you've got an adult child that needs to move home, I feel like parents know their kiddo to know if they're just home, just to be home, just so I can be taken care of, versus like, okay, I really need to be here because of just all the things that are happening. But we'd love to hear from you.
Yes, of course.
If you're experiencing this, let us know.
Yes, big one for us is souvenirs. If we're on vacation, the kids got to pay if they want those souvenirs.
Really?
Yeah.
I love that.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, being financially responsible. Stay with us. We'll keep talking about it. We're back after the break.